Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. The Battle of Wounded Knee is a moment in history that resonates deeply with anyone who learns about it. On December 29, 1890, on the Lakota Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota, this event marked the end of long-standing conflicts between Native American tribes and the U.S. government. In the late 1800s, Native American tribes faced intense change and upheaval. The U.S. government's push for westward expansion meant displacing Native Americans from their ancestral lands to reservations. By 1890, the Lakota Sioux, once powerful and free, found themselves confined to these reservations, struggling to survive. Tensions were running high. Treaties had been broken, lands were lost, and the buffalo, central to the Lakota way of life, were vanishing. Then came the ghost dance movement, a spiritual practice that promised the return of the buffalo and the removal of white settlers. This movement spread among the Lakota, giving them hope, but also alarming U.S. officials who feared it might spark an uprising. The ghost dance was initiated by a Paiute prophet named Wovoka, also known as Jack Wilson. He envisioned a future where Native American lands would be restored and the buffalo would return. For the Lakota, this was a beacon of hope. However, U.S. authorities perceived it as a potential threat, especially after the death of Sitting Bull, a key Lakota leader. The U.S. media at the time sensationalized the ghost dance, portraying it as a dangerous cult. This heightened public fear and influenced the government's harsh response, leading to an increased military presence in the region. On December 15, 1890, Sitting Bull, a revered leader known for his resistance against U.S. forces, particularly at the Battle of the Little Bighorn, was arrested by Indian police at the Standing Rock Reservation. During the arrest, a scuffle broke out, leading to Sitting Bull's death. His passing caused great fear and sorrow among the Lakota, prompting many to flee. Chief Bigfoot, also known as Spotted Elk, led his people to the Pine Ridge Reservation, seeking safety. The journey was arduous, and many were unprepared for the harsh winter. By the time they reached Wounded Knee Creek on December 28, 1890, Bigfoot was gravely ill with pneumonia. Despite his condition, he sought to negotiate for his people's safety. On the morning of December 29th, U.S. soldiers from the 7th Cavalry Regiment, the same unit that had been defeated at the Battle of the Little Bighorn, attempted to disarm the Lakota. A shot was fired, though it's unclear from which side, and chaos erupted. The already anxious soldiers opened fire. The Lakota, many of whom were unarmed, were quickly overwhelmed. The soldiers, using powerful Hotchkiss guns, killed approximately 300 Lakota men, women, and children. There were significant language barriers between the Lakota and the U.S. soldiers, leading to miscommunication that likely exacerbated the tension. When the soldiers attempted to disarm the Lakota, some of the warriors were reluctant, fearing for their safety. The misunderstanding of intentions on both sides contributed to the outbreak of violence. The aftermath of the Battle of Wounded Knee was grim. The survivors faced continued hardship. The U.S. government provided little assistance, and many of the Lakota people who lived through the massacre struggled with trauma and poverty. The land promised to them in treaties continued to be encroached upon, further diminishing their ability to sustain their way of life. Wounded Knee became a powerful symbol of Native American suffering and resilience, highlighting the harsh realities of U.S. policies and the profound losses endured by indigenous peoples. Amid the tragedy, personal stories emerged. One such story is that of Zintkala Nuni, or Lost Bird, a 4-month-old baby girl found alive under her mother's body after the massacre. She was adopted by a U.S. Army general and later became a symbol of the trauma experienced by Native Americans. Another important figure is Dewey Beard, or Wasu Maza, who survived the massacre and later testified before Congress about the events. His testimony, along with others, helped bring attention to the injustices faced by Native Americans, though change was slow to come. Today, Wounded Knee is remembered as a tragic chapter in American history. The site of the massacre is now a National Historic Landmark, serving as a reminder of the consequences of colonization and the enduring strength of Native American communities. In 1973, Wounded Knee gained renewed significance when members of the American Indian movement occupied the site to protest U.S. government policies and demand treaty rights. This event, known as the Wounded Knee Incident, lasted 71 days and brought new attention to Native American rights. Reflecting on Wounded Knee encourages us to honor the memory of those who lost their lives and to acknowledge the ongoing struggles and contributions of Native American peoples in preserving their heritage and culture. In the aftermath of the massacre, 20 U.S. soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor for their actions at Wounded Knee. This decision has been a source of controversy, as many view these awards as inappropriate, given the nature of the massacre. Efforts have been made to revoke these medals, but they remain in place, serving as a painful reminder of the massacre's legacy. The massacre at Wounded Knee can also be seen as part of a broader U.S. policy of forced assimilation. The U.S. government aimed to destroy Native American cultures and assimilate indigenous people into white American society through policies such as the Dawes Act, which divided communal lands into individual allotments. This policy weakened tribal structures and led to significant land loss for Native Americans. The legacy of Wounded Knee has had a lasting impact on Native American activism. The 1973 occupation of Wounded Knee by the American Indian movement was a direct response to the historical injustices symbolized by the massacre. This event helped galvanize the modern Native American civil rights movement, leading to greater awareness of Native American issues in the U.S. Thanks for tuning in to the Ancestral Findings podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and feel inspired to uncover more about your family history. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. Remember, every discovery brings you closer to knowing your ancestors. Until next time, keep exploring those family roots. Happy searching!